Hello, and welcome to Simply Business, the podcast interview series for business owners by business owners. And I'm your host, John Jennings. I believe that most business owners are working way too hard for much too little. And one of the issues is that we over complexify things. And I believe that most of the answers are always right within us or within our reach. So I like to say I'm a simple man with simple ideas. So welcome to Simply Business. And I don't have my full voice today. I'm just going to admit that right off the bat. So we're going to do the best we can, but we've got a guest that hopefully will do much more of the talking. I'm joined today by Shemika Whiteside, who is the executive director of Zora's Cradle and also the owner of her own private practice. So, Shemika, thank you so much for joining us. Would you like to kick us off a little bit with a little background about yourself and who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So, as you mentioned, I'm Shemika Whiteside. I have a nonprofit here in Louisville, Kentucky, based in the Shively area. It is called Zora's Cradle. Zora's Cradle provides perinatal behavioral health services targeting homeless expectant mothers, but we pretty much serve everyone. We provide individual therapy and group therapy and some educational classes targeting pregnant women and postpartum women, and also the dads. People forget about the dads sometimes. Dads are connected to the pregnancy as well. In addition to the therapeutic piece of it, I have a resource center that's down the hall from my main office where we do therapy. But any pretty much any resource a mother needs to kind of make sure that her pregnancy is successful. So we've got a whole diaper depot. We partner with the St. Bernadette Church here in Louisville. So we've got diapers. We have a milk depot with breast milk. I think sometimes people don't realize that a family maybe without breast milk or need some supplemental breast milk should something go wrong, such as illness or adoption or grandmama's taking the baby in or mama's in the hospital. We've got to get that breast milk going. And we partner with the Milk Bank in Indianapolis for that. We partner with the city. We have some emergency housing vouchers for pregnant and postpartum women who are homeless that may have barriers to accessing housing, whether they are staying with a partnership that may be involving domestic violence or may just be having a hard time navigating the city because having a big belly, you can't really move that fast and get things done as you typically would as well. But we have those things here, and that's just the nonprofit piece. And we've been operating for 3 years, and we have a great team and some great partnerships here in the city. But because Shemika is for some reason so obsessed with doing therapy, I also have a private practice. It is called Perinatal Princess, where I work with a lot of women individually, doing just individual therapy sessions, virtually and also in a different office space for those things. So I'm all about, women's issues and pregnancy and postpartum supports. Surprisingly, most of my clients are men. So that's also the most interesting thing about it as well. But there is a organization called 0 to 3 where they advocate nationally for children 0 to 3, making sure they have the supports that they need. I am a 0 to 3 fellow, so I'm used to going throughout the country and navigating maternal health resources and infant and child resources for people in need and bringing those things back to Kentucky and sharing them with community partners and my team. And then there's a board of directors with Postpartum Support International, and I sit on their Kentucky board. So if it's related to pregnancy and mamas, I'm usually somewhere around or somewhere lurking in the background as well, because that's just my jam.
Wow. Well, thank you for what you do because what you do is awesome, and I know very much needed. I've been, I guess you can say, as you mentioned, the men. I've been around the pregnancy, but I haven't experienced it, right? So I appreciate the fact that you're there, and I find it interesting that you said most of your clients are men. That might be something to dig into. That's I never would have guessed that. Well, tell me a little bit about what inspired you to start a nonprofit 3 years ago. What was it that uh, just called you to do that? Because it's certainly something that many people cannot do.
Absolutely. So I've been in the social services field for about 15 years. Was a case manager for many years, just helping people navigate resources. But prior to doing all those things, I am not originally from here. I am from Springfield, Illinois, and I came to Louisville to go to the University of Louisville's Kent School of Social Work because I wanted to be the best social worker I could be, and they said that that was a school for that. And shortly after graduating. Well, actually, I was pregnant during my graduation, but I did want to go back to home, Illinois. I kind of liked Louisville and some of the things that they had here. That there are no White Castles back home, so that was a big deal. White Castle cost me a stay
Wow.
here, but this was a big city to me compared to where I lived. But at the time, just graduating and being pregnant, and I also have at the time he was 5 years old, 5 year old son. This is in 2014, but just trying to look for resources for pregnancy. Where do I go to get, you know, um, milk and diapers and things like that because I didn't know the city. But just trying to navigate those things on my own, I couldn't find a lot of the resources. And I actually went into preterm labor when I was 6 months pregnant, gave birth. She lived only for 2 days and then she passed away.
Wow.
And at the time, I was devastated. I'm like, well, it's because I couldn't find things in the city. It's because my family wasn't here to help me. Just trying to find reasons to justify what had happened. It's because of this or that or what have you. That was in 2014. As a case manager and, slowly just going into therapy, trying to help those that I was serving navigate resources. I found that there were pockets of agencies that were helping with pregnant postpartum women, but were difficult to find. So I'm like, oh no, this wasn't just because I was near to town. Louisville just doesn't have it, and it's concerning.
Hmm.
Um, and that was very concerning. So, funny thing, John, I kind of stumbled into this. I posted something New Year's Day, 2020, saying how frustrated I was that we didn't have therapy for moms and we didn't, that were easily accessible and we didn't have diapers where you had to, most things you have to have a certain income or certain, I'm very much if you need it, I have it or can send you to the right direction. But I said, someone needs to do something about this. And I made this post and someone said, I'm a realtor and I can help with office space. And someone said, if you need commercial insurance credentialing, I can do that. Someone said I have diapers. It was kind of a groundswell. And I'm like, no, I meant someone else. Me. I'm like, somebody needs to do it. And then I looked up and I had office space and so it just kind of was me advocating for something and kind of being pushed toward it. Um, I always tell people one of the things that I like about what we do is that, we're, one of the few people doing it. And at the same time, one of the challenges that we're one of the few people doing it. So it's kind of hard to consult what do we do next or where do we find this or where do we find that. But yeah, just personal experience caused me to be an advocate. And now I have a whole business just from a Facebook post.
That's that's an awesome story. I was just picturing the first response being, no, no one does that. How about you? That's kind of what it was. Very
Absolutely.
cool. So that's obviously an unexpected twist of it. The next question I like to ask is, what was the biggest surprise of getting something going like this? What 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 unexpected aspect of being a founder kind of surprised you?
Strategic planning. I think as whether you're an entrepreneur or even an employee, I think we go into things and we just assume that it's all just going to be done for us. You go to a job, I had no clue, so many pieces go into it, but we were very first year, it was okay, well, let's do this. Oh crap, we don't have this, we don't have this. And we're just kind of doing it trial by error versus someone even asked us, do you have a strategic plan of how things should actually operate? So that was difficult to kind of see what we needed and how we're going to get there and what pieces we had to bring in. And I think with most agencies, it's an ongoing thing. But
Mm.
yeah, I think that was the most difficult piece of it, really strategically planning, which I love now, but I hated years ago. Now I'm excited. Like this didn't work last year. Here's what we're gonna do this year. So love
Yeah,
hate.
that's awesome. How do you do because that's kind of you're hitting my sweet spot of excitement there. We talk about strategic planning. So tell me about your process. How do you go about doing strategic planning?
The first year we tried to do it on our own and it still wasn't working. We had to actually reach out, which there's no shame in this, and I tell people this all the time. Find a consultant who was neutral that actually put one together for us. Because they were asking the questions that we weren't asking. Um, it was, well, you're serving this many clients, do you have the staff for this many clients or how does this work or how does that work? Or just someone objectively just, hey, why are we not doing this? So that was actually really helpful. But I think sometimes people, I mean, it's one thing to actually do things on your own, but sometimes there's no shame in getting help. Have someone else come in, let them help you actually map things out. And then my board of directors, we have some people from around the country who, once they saw the strategic plan that they put together, um, they added their thoughts and feedback to it. So that was also helpful as well. But I think I just listed all the services and the needs and some of the barriers and some of the outcomes and some of the goals. And from there, all the different parties kind of put their ingredients in and made that stew even better. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And I've worked with several nonprofits on strategic planning, and there's a lot of pushback sometimes of, oh, we're not a business. We don't need to do that. We're not that official. But the reality is you really are. You are a business. It's what is someone said to me one time, not for profit doesn't mean not, no money. There's still a lot of money flowing, and you have to manage it, right? You have to do a good job, be good stewards of your resources. So strategic plan is important.
yes.
Well, very good. Um, Share, if you don't mind, and obviously I don't want you to get too uncomfortable in what you share, but share, a challenge or two that you've faced and how you dealt with it.
I'd say one of the biggest challenges that um, we faced, it's so funny, and we're still dealing with it every year in a different way. Um, I think one of the biggest challenges is really doing a needs assessment. And I say that because sometimes businesses, nonprofit, for profit, what have you, will go out and provide these different things that they think the people want. Oh, the people want this, the people need this. And it's like, well, this is so odd. I'm losing money on this for all the people versus have you actually asked someone what they want and what they need and so on and so forth? Like I said, we started doing this with, you know, with therapy and so on and so forth. But most of the people that we served, the reason why they had some of the mental health stressors is because they didn't have the resources they needed. So it's like, you know what, we should actually be asking people what they need. Um, so we actually do that from time to time. We'll bring clients in and we'll feed them because people want food. But
That's
really
every
having
industry.
them, yeah, but having them actually contribute to um, the discussion. What is it that you need and what can we do to actually effectively help you? And that's really turned our business around versus, oh, people need this. Well, how come they aren't coming? You know what I mean? For this, this free soup or this free this. They don't know who you are. So it's really that piece of it, a needs assessment. One of the most recent ones that we are actually trying to tackle, I had a call before I spoke with you, involves the barriers to housing and even just temporary shelter. We've had many families come to our offices, get whatever services they needed, and kind of linger around for a while. And we're like, okay, why are you still here? You got what you needed. And then I found out that a lot of times moms and dads don't have nowhere to go. And this may be those coming from the shelter, like there's no place, I mean, just to just kind of hang out, mom, pregnant women, just to sit and be social with other people in the same situation. So I spoke to several clients and I asked about that, like, where can you go for that? There are a couple of community partners that are doing something comparable, but really addressing need for that. So we have been really just kind of putting feelers out to see what that would look like, what people would actually need from that, just to make sure that it is truly client-centered. But yeah, I just say, the needs assessment has been difficult, but it's also been humbling. Sometimes I've went to shelters and, people are, and, focusing on housing when people are like, I just kind of want socks. If I can get some socks. Like, oh, we're working very hard and we could probably be resolving this particular issue here. So still an
Yeah.
ongoing process that I love.
And that's, whether you're business or nonprofit, I've seen that so many times where, especially in the entrepreneurial side, where someone will invent something, they found a company or whatever, and then they have this idea that, oh, I call it my way or the highway. It's like I've got what I think they need, therefore I built it, therefore they will buy it. And then when people don't buy it, they have to learn how to adapt. It sounds like
Yeah.
you've done that. That's and it's the parallels between business and nonprofit, those types of
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
It's very interesting. So you also have your private practice. So you've got this for-profit private practice and your nonprofit. How do you balance that in your day?
So that's the fun part.
Or do
I
you, I guess?
I'm trying my best, but one of the things that I have found, I thought that, and I spoke with my team initially about stepping out to do private practice. Um, and I want to make sure, like I said, everything was separate, make sure I have separate space, have, separate, address. I didn't want, mail from the other place coming here that's a conflict of interest, but want to make sure those two things were very separate. But so far, everyone who wants to see me for private practice wants to meet in the evenings or on weekends, which is perfect because I see my other people here in the daytime. So it kind of balanced for me, which I enjoy. And I was like, oh, I really thought I'd be, here on certain days, but I'm still maintaining my schedule here. And then people just know after 4 p.m. I'm not available. I'm seeing my private practice clients and
Mhm.
headed that way. Same thing on weekends. I'm still in shock how many people um, want therapy on weekends. So that's cool. I'm like, oh, no one's going to show up on a Saturday.
No, there's a big need for that. I work with a nonprofit that has some therapists, and yeah, they stay completely booked up in the off hours.
Yes.
Well, we would consider off hours,
Yeah.
because people want to be able to do that outside of their work. That's awesome that you do that. Although, I guess my next question was, how do you balance that in your personal life, or do you have do you have
Oh,
a
yes.
healthy balance
It's
there?
I what you call it. Honestly, I'm a traveler. So I make sure I do small forms of self-care at home. I am a baker. Um, and it's so weird. I have a 15, my son's 15, he'll be 16 next month, but he calls me the rage baker. Sometimes I've had a day and so much has happened and baking is calming for me. So um and when I'm angry, I'm just throwing things in. So he's excited. I'm upset, but he's excited to see what turns out,
That's funny.
when I'm doing this. I make a mean caramel apple cake. So we had that the other day and I'm just throwing stuff in. So people are like, how did you make that? I don't know. I would just throwing things in.
So it
Baking.
sounds like if you're having a bad day, that's a good day to hang around you,
Oh
or at least give it,
yeah. People like, why are they all showing up out of nowhere? But I do that to make sure I take care of myself. I am a huge nostalgia TV person, huge Golden Girls fan, huge Golden Girls
oh, that's
fan.
funny.
So it helps me calm down. But I told my husband, 90% of the time you'll see Golden Girls if he comes in the bedroom and I have a blanket wrapped around me and I'm watching Andy Griffith. Like the further I go back, the angrier I
Oh,
am.
wow. That's
So
hilarious.
yeah, he's like, whoa, Aunt D's on the screen. I need to get out of here. But I make sure I travel and I go places and kind of clear my mind. Huge fan of Europe. I love Europe, and I just like the freedom to kind of go into the different things. But sometimes, I have to really get far away from it. And then conferences. It sounds crazy, but um, I'll sign up for conferences to kind of network and do things professionally, but also, for self care. I'm like, I kind of need to go to a different state and go see something else to kind of clear my head
Mhm.
from other things. So big on self care, and I think other business owners should be as well. Make sure we're taking care of ourselves so we can take care of those we serve.
That's so important and so often missed by people. One last question, and it really goes along hand in hand with that. What advice would you give to someone who's wanting to launch, whether they're launching a nonprofit or maybe they're launching a private practice, going out on their own? What advice would you have to someone like that?
Oh, John, this is easy. Get a coach. Get a coach. I cannot stress that enough. Whether it is for profit or nonprofit, get someone who's done what you've done, or what you're trying to do. I think one person I have now who I have to sing her praises. That's actually I mentioned I was speaking to someone for this. Um, I have a score mentor because, like I said, as we started, we initially were for profit, and then we moved toward the nonprofit model with this particular
Mhm.
business. Um, but I have a score mentor named Barbara. Shout out to Barbara. She's wonderful. She's in Lexington. She's a retiree who used to do similar work to what we did. So has really been helping me navigate things. I love just the coach piece of it. And also just even someone is not necessarily your coach, even just, mentoring and relationships. One of the best pieces of advice I got recently, because for years we would go throughout the city and, kind of do the guerrilla marketing thing. And hey, we're doing this. If you need this, we provide these services. And someone from the mayor's office, Gretchen Hunt, give her kudos, said, I love you, but you're working harder than you are smarter. I know that you're going out to have people, know about what you do. How about bringing them in and doing an open house? And it sounds like common sense when you actually sit and listen to it, but when you're in the swing of things, the easiest answers are not in front of you. And I'm like, oh my God, that is so
Right.
we did. We invited the deputy mayor and some council people to kind of see our work, and they weren't on, hadn't heard of us. And that's just hard, because we've been out. But I'm like, but this is what we need for people to kind of spread the word on what we're doing so we can kind of help people on a larger scale. But yeah, if I had actually had a coach or a mentor or someone to hold my hand and give me those steps, I think I'd not only be a lot farther along, I probably would have avoided some of the mistakes I've made in business. But yeah, there are coaches, free to low cost, get one, get someone that's, don't be ashamed. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing. That's cool. Get help.
And as a certified business and executive coach, I appreciate that, and I did not pay you to make that announcement. But I do appreciate when people say that, because then that's something that is so true. It's something I wish I had known earlier, and certainly I've applied, obviously, as I coach others today. So thank you so much, Shemika, for your time and for what you've shared. I know, no matter what type of business or nonprofit you may be in, you've obviously inspired folks to think through some very important things. And so I appreciate you sharing a little bit about your journey. And so if anybody wants to connect with you, what's the best way of doing that?
So we are, well, the World Wide Web. If someone just Google Zora's Cradle, ZORA''S, cradle, like a baby cradle and not candle. We get calls for candles all the time. It's Zora's Cradle, like a baby cradle. We're in the business of babies, not candles.
Yeah.
Phone number is 502-830-9460. Prompt should come on and, say, hey, it's Shemika or whoever in the office you need. Our website is www.zorascradle.org, ZORASCRADLE.org. And we're just on different social media platforms. Or if they're like, that's too much to remember, can I just find you? I'm on LinkedIn and all the different
Yeah.
social media platforms. So if they just look up, Whiteside or Shemika Whiteside or anything related to maternal health, I'll pop up somewhere, even if they just Google maternal health in Kentucky. So they'll find me in a roundabout way, but I'm out here. I'm out here
Well,
doing
good
things.
deal. And I am so glad you are out there, and I appreciate you sharing some time with us today. And I hope our listeners or viewers certainly have enjoyed watching this, and appreciate your time. And I look forward to seeing you down the road, and I look forward to seeing folks on our next podcast. Thank you
Thanks for
very
having me.
much.